Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the ESS Hyperion, watching the shimmering atmosphere of New Eden below. The colony's twin moons cast long shadows across the planet's emerald continents, a sight that never failed to remind her of humanity's achievement in reaching the stars. Captain, multiple hyperspace signatures detected, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced from the sensor station, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Configurations unknown. Size suggests capital ships. Chen straightened her uniform, dark eyes narrowing as the fabric of space tore open. Massive vessels emerge, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent metal unlike anything in Earth's database. The design spoke of confidence, no arrogance, in their technological superiority. 14 ships, Rodriguez updated. The smallest matches the Hyperion in size. The largest. He paused, double-checking his readings. The largest is 3 kilometers in length. Open all passive sensors, Chen ordered. Lieutenant Park, begin recording. Something tells me Earth Command will want every detail of this encounter. The bridge crew worked in practiced silence as more data filtered in. The alien vessels arranged themselves in a precise formation that reminded Chen of ancient naval blockades. Their message was clear. No one would reach New Eden without their permission. Incoming transmission. Communications Officer Maya Singh reported. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. On screen. The main display flickered to life, revealing a humanoid figure with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to shift color like oil on water. Intricate patterns decorated their uniform, suggesting rank and accomplishment. "This is High Commander Ixel of the Stellar Empire," the alien announced, their words perfectly translated by the ship's eye. "Your species has expanded beyond its prescribed boundaries. This system now falls under Imperial protection. You will submit to Imperial authority within 1 planetary rotation." Chen maintained her composure, though she felt her crew's tension. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth spaceship Hyperion. New Eden is a registered human colony with over 50,000 civilians. We do not recognize your authority over this system." The High Commander's eyes shifted to a deep purple. "Your recognition is not required, Captain. The Empire has watched your species' expansion with growing concern. Your chaotic development threatens the stability of this sector. We offer structure, order, protection." "Protection from what, High Commander?" "From yourselves, primarily." Ixel's tone carried the weight of countless similar conversations. "Your species advances without proper guidance. This leads to unfortunate outcomes. Submit, and we will ensure your development proceeds along approved paths." Chen took a measured breath. "And if we decline your generous offer, then we will be forced to demonstrate why all rational species accept Imperial guidance." Ixel's expression softened in what might have been genuine concern. "Your vessel is impressive for your technological level, Captain, but you face 14 Imperial warships. Do not force us to prove our superiority." 1 rotation, Chen confirmed. "To submit to Imperial authority." "Correct. We will await your response." The transmission ended. Chen turned to her crew. Their faces showed a mix of emotions: concern, determination, and barely contained anger at the Empire's presumption. "Orders, Captain." Commander James Foster, her first officer, asked quietly. "Contact Earth Command. Priority 1 channel." Chen moved to the tactical display. "And begin passive scans of every Imperial vessel. I want to know their capabilities down to the last energy signature." "What about evacuation preparations for New Eden?" Foster pressed. Chen shook her head. "Not yet. That would signal weakness. Besides," she pulled up the Hyperion specifications. "They're expecting a primitive species with a single warship. Let's not disabuse them of that notion until we have to." "Ma'am," Rodriguez interrupted, "the Imperial vessels are deploying some kind of sensor network around the planet. Can they detect our stealth systems?" "Unknown, but their technology base seems different from ours. They might not even know what to look for." Chen nodded, a plan already forming. Earth had faced overwhelming odds before, but humanity had learned valuable lessons from each encounter. The Empire clearly expected submission or a suicidal last stand. They would receive neither. All departments, battle stations, Chen ordered, quietly, and get me everything we have on their shield configurations. The Empire wants to teach us a lesson about proper development. A slight smile crossed her face. I think it's time they learned about humanity's capacity for innovation. The red alert lights remained dark, but throughout the Hyperion, humanity's most advanced warship prepared for battle. They had one rotation to save New Eden. The Empire had no idea what they'd started. The Hyperion drifted through New Eden's asteroid belt, its advanced hull coating absorbing both light and radar. Inside, the bridge remained dimly lit, crew members speaking in hushed tones, despite knowing sound couldn't travel in space. Biomimetic stealth systems at full capacity, Lieutenant Park reported. We're running as quiet as a deep-sea anglerfish. Captain Chen nodded, remembering the breakthrough that led to this technology. Earth's scientists had studied abyssal predators, learning how they moved unseen through the darkness. Those same principles now helped the Hyperion navigate between Imperial sensor nets. Movement from the flagship, Rodriguez announced. They're launching scout drones. On the tactical display, dozens of small contacts emerged from the Imperial vessels. The drones moved in precise patterns, like squares on a chessboard. Predictable, methodical, inflexible. Their scan patterns leave regular gaps, Commander Foster observed. 3 seconds between sweeps. Just like the Atlantic submarine nets, Chen mused. Some things never change, regardless of the species. She turned to communications. Singh, what have you learned from their transmissions? Maya Singh adjusted her headset. Their command structure is extremely hierarchical. Every minor decision requires approval from higher ranks. And she smiled slightly. They're getting frustrated. The main screen showed an Imperial drone passing barely a kilometer from the Hyperion's position. It continued on its predetermined course, completely unaware of the Earth vessel's presence. Their shield network is fascinating. Dr. Emma Hayes, the ship's chief engineer, spoke up from her station. Each vessel generates a portion of the overall field, more efficient than individual shields. But, Chen prompted. But it requires constant synchronization. Break the network in one place. Hayes let the implications hang in the air. Chen studied the tactical display, watching the Imperial fleet's formation. Their confidence was obvious in every movement. They expected either submission or a direct confrontation, not this silent observation. New transmission from the surface, Singh reported. Governor Richards is demanding to know our plans. The Colony Council is pressing for evacuation. Tell them to maintain normal operations, Chen ordered. Any change in civilian patterns will alert the Empire that we're preparing for conflict. The hours passed as the Hyperion gathered intelligence. The crew worked efficiently, compiling data on Imperial weapons, shield frequencies, and communication protocols. Each piece of information revealed new possibilities. Captain, Rodriguez called out. I'm detecting power fluctuations in their sensor grid. There? He paused, checking his readings. They're increasing power to compensate for the asteroid belt's interference. Chen leaned forward. Show me their power distribution. The tactical display updated, showing energy flows between Imperial vessels. Their linked shield network drew massive power, leaving other systems with reduced capabilities. A classic example of over-specialization. They've never needed to fight alone, Foster realized. Their entire tactical doctrine assumes group superiority. Exactly. Chen stood, moving to the center of the bridge. Humanity learned different lessons. We know what it means to stand alone against overwhelming odds. She turned to Hayes. Doctor, can you identify the command frequencies for their shield network? Already mapped them, Captain. They're using a surprisingly basic encryption. Good. Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes held a determined gleam. Because I know how we're going to show the Empire why humanity's chaotic development isn't a weakness. A warning tone sounded from Tactical. Imperial Dreadnought is moving, Rodriguez reported. They're shifting into bombardment position over New Eden's capital. Right on schedule, Chen murmured. They're done waiting. Station status. All departments report ready, Foster confirmed. Though we're still significantly outnumbered. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Commander, when Alexander faced the Persian Empire, he was outnumbered in every battle. But numbers mean nothing if you can't effectively coordinate your forces. She straightened her uniform. Prepare for combat operations. We'll show them how humanity fights when protecting our own. Throughout the Hyperion, crews made final preparations. Weapon systems warmed up beneath the stealth field. Engineers monitored power levels. In the medical bay, doctors readied for casualties they hoped wouldn't come. One deck below the bridge, a young technician asked her superior, "Do we really have a chance against their entire fleet?" The senior officer smiled, checking the targeting systems one last time. "They expect us to fight like them. Direct, predictable, by their rules." She shook her head. "They have no idea what's coming." Above New Eden, the Imperial fleet continued their methodical patrol, unaware that humanity's response to their ultimatum was about to begin. The Imperial Dreadnought's weapon ports began to glow, preparing for their demonstration of power over New Eden's capital city. High Commander Ixel had chosen to make an example, expecting the lone human vessel to either surrender or emerge for a futile last stand. They received neither. Target locked on their primary shield synchronization node, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from Tactical, his voice steady despite the tension. Captain Chen stood at the center of her bridge, watching the Imperial formation through the Hyperion's enhanced display. Time their rotation. Wait for the gap. The massive Imperial ships maintained their precise formation, shields overlapping in complex patterns. But like all patterns, this one had a rhythm. A predictability born of absolute confidence. Gap in 3, 2, 1. Execute, Chen ordered. The Hyperion stealth field dropped for exactly 1.3 seconds. In that moment, 3 concentrated beam weapons fired simultaneously, their energy signatures masked by the asteroid belt's natural radiation. The beams struck the Dreadnought's synchronization node before their sensors could even register the threat. The effect cascaded through the Imperial formation. Shield harmonics destabilized. Emergency protocols activated, forcing each ship to revert to individual defenses. For precious seconds, their network fragmented into chaos. 2 light cruisers breaking formation. Rodriguez called out. Their power grid is fluctuating. Chen's voice remained calm. Targeting solutions on both vessels. Fire when ready. The Hyperion struck again, its weapons precisely calculated to overwhelm the smaller ship's individual shields. The Imperial cruiser's armor buckled under the assault, their crews too dependent on their network defenses to compensate quickly enough. Imperial fleet is responding, Commander Foster reported. They're launching fighters. As expected, Chen turned to communications. Sing, begin broadcast on their command frequencies. Let's add to their confusion. Throughout the Imperial fleet, officers suddenly heard their own emergency protocols being repeated back to them, slightly out of sync, creating a disorienting echo effect. The Hyperion's AI had analyzed their communication patterns, learning to mimic their command structure. Enemy fighters are breaking into search patterns, Rodriguez updated. Their coordination is degrading. Chen watched the tactical display, where Imperial ships now moved with less certainty. Their perfect formation had become a liability, ships forced to maintain distance to avoid collision without their synchronized systems. Multiple distress calls detected, Singh reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. The damaged cruisers are requesting emergency support. Their protocols require 2 escorts for any damaged vessel, which means they'll have to break formation further, Foster concluded. The Imperial response proved them right. 4 more ships detached from the main group, moving to protect their wounded companions. The once perfect blockade developed gaps, like cracks in a foundation. "Captain," Hayes called from engineering. "I'm detecting power surges in their weapon systems. They're trying to compensate for the lost shield network by increasing individual output. Exactly what we needed." Chen's expression remained focused. "Prepare for Phase 2. Rodriguez, target their primary power conduits. Let's see how their systems handle sudden feedback." The Hyperion moved like a predator through the growing chaos, its strikes precisely calculated. Each attack forced the Imperial ships to react independently, their crews struggling without the collective support they relied upon. "Message from High Commander Ixel," Singh announced. "They're demanding we show ourselves and fight with honor." A ghost of a smile crossed Chen's face. "Send no response. Let them wonder." The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency as the battle continued. The Hyperion struck from multiple vectors, never remaining in one position long enough for the Imperial fleet to coordinate a response. Each attack targeted critical systems, maximizing damage while minimizing risk. "Enemy flagship is moving," Rodriguez reported. "They're attempting to restore fleet coordination." "Not yet," Chen murmured. She turned to Foster. "Status of New Eden's defense grid. Online but untested. Governor Richards reports their systems are ready." Chen nodded. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Empire had expected either submission or a glorious last stand, their centuries of victory making them blind to other possibilities. Instead, they faced an opponent who had spent its history learning to overcome superior forces. "Prepare for atmospheric operations," she ordered. "It's time to show them why humanity's chaotic development produced something they never expected." Above New Eden, the Imperial formation continued to degrade, their perfect order descending into confusion as they hunted an enemy that refused to fight by their rules. The real battle was about to begin. The Hyperion sliced through the debris field, navigating paths that the Imperial ship's rigid protocols deemed too dangerous. Behind them, 3 enemy vessels followed at a more cautious pace, their superior size now a disadvantage among the tumbling asteroids. "Their pursuit pattern is following standard naval doctrine," Commander Foster observed. "They're trying to herd us toward their main fleet. Let them think it's working." Captain Chen studied the tactical display, where dozens of mining transponders blinked steadily. The Empire hadn't questioned why an outer colony would have so many dormant mining beacons scattered through its asteroid belt. "New contacts," Rodriguez announced. "Multiple hyperspace signatures at the system's edge. Imperial reinforcements arriving." The tactical display updated, showing 5 more capital ships emerging from hyperspace. Their arrival changed the pursuit dynamics, attempting to close the net around the Hyperion's position. "Perfect timing," Chen remarked. "Hayes, are the mining drones in position?" "Ready on your mark, Captain." The chief engineer's fingers moved across her console. "Though I still can't believe we're using industrial mining equipment as weapons. The best solutions often come from unexpected places." Chen watched the Imperial ships advance. "Humanity's greatest advantage has always been our ability to adapt existing tools for new purposes." The pursuing vessels accelerated, their confidence bolstered by the arrival of reinforcements. Their formation spread wider, attempting to cut off possible escape routes through the asteroid field. "They're approaching the first marker," Rodriguez reported. "Distance to mining drone network, 30 seconds. Chen nodded. "Begin transmission on their command frequencies. Standard distress protocol." Singh activated the communications array. Across Imperial channels, automated distress calls began broadcasting, mimicking their own signals perfectly. The pursuers hesitated, protocols demanding they investigate potential casualties. "They're slowing," Foster confirmed. "Their formation is splitting to investigate the signals." "Execute mining sequence," Chen ordered. Throughout the asteroid field, dormant mining drones activated. Originally designed to break down mineral-rich asteroids, their focused energy beams now targeted the space between Imperial vessels. Fragments of rock and ice erupted in coordinated patterns, creating a chaotic environment that their rigid formation couldn't handle. Direct hit on their port cruiser, Rodriguez called out. Their navigation systems are compromised. The Imperial ship's reactions proved predictable. Following protocol, they diverted power to shields, sacrificing maneuverability. In the confined space of the asteroid field, it was exactly the wrong choice. Second wave of reinforcements detected, Foster reported. They're trying to circle around the belt to cut off our retreat. They still think we're running. Chen's slight smile held no humor. Status of the mineral charges. Armed and ready, Hayes confirmed. Though using explosive mining charges this way wasn't exactly in the manual. The tactical display showed the new Imperial vessels moving to block the Hyperion's apparent escape route. Their formation was perfect, their trap seemingly inevitable. They had no way of knowing that every piece of mining equipment in this sector had been reprogrammed for this moment. Initiate secondary sequence, Chen commanded. Hayes activated the charges, precisely placed explosives designed to break up platinum-rich asteroids, detonated in a cascading wave. The blast pattern created a tunnel of debris, catching the Imperial ships in a crossfire of rock and metal. Multiple impacts detected, Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. Their shields are holding, but they're burning through power to maintain them. Just as planned. Chen turned to Foster. Status of New Eden's atmospheric defenders. In position and awaiting our signal. Governor Richards reports all civilian centers are secured. The Imperial reinforcements pushed forward despite the debris field, their determination obvious. But their movements were becoming less coordinated, each ship forced to navigate independently through the chaos. Captain, Singh called out. Intercepted communications suggest they're preparing to use their main weapons to clear the asteroid field. Desperate tactics, Chen observed. They're abandoning their own protocols now. Phase 3 is ready. All systems prepared, Hayes confirmed. Though I should note that what we're about to attempt has never been tested in combat conditions. Chen watched the tactical display, where Imperial ships struggled against an environment they never trained for. Humanity's history of mining asteroid belts had taught lessons that proved unexpectedly valuable in warfare. Send word to New Eden's Defense Force, she ordered. Tell them to prepare for our arrival. It's time to show the Empire why adaptability trumps rigid doctrine every time. The Hyperion turned toward the planet, leaving chaos in its wake. Behind them, the Imperial fleet regrouped, unaware they were following exactly the path Captain Chen had planned. The real surprise was still to come. New Eden's upper atmosphere shimmered with unusual energy patterns as the Imperial flagship descended, its massive form casting shadows across the continent below. High Commander Ixel had decided to end this battle personally, tired of hunting shadows through the asteroid field. Their flagship has entered the atmosphere, Rodriguez reported aboard the Hyperion, which hovered at the edge of New Eden's magnetic pole. 5 escort vessels following in standard combat formation. Captain Chen observed the thermal readings from the Imperial ships. Their hull temperatures were rising faster than their specifications suggested they should. They've never fought in atmosphere before, she noted. Their ships are designed for the vacuum of space. Makes sense, Commander Foster added. Why would an empire that demands submission need to engage in planetary combat? The tactical display showed the Imperial flagship pushing through layers of atmosphere, its energy shields glowing as they adjusted to the new environment. Behind it, the escort vessels maintained their precise spacing, unaware of the trap they were entering. Governor Richards reports the defense grid is ready, Singh announced from communications. All ground-based installations are armed and synchronized with our targeting systems. Chen nodded. Dr. Hayes, status of our atmospheric modifications. The weather control satellites are in position, Hayes responded. Though using them to create artificial storm conditions wasn't exactly their intended purpose. Today is full of creative solutions. Chen watched as the Imperial ships descended further. Begin the sequence. Above New Eden's capital, clouds began forming with unnatural speed. The weather control system, designed to protect farming communities from severe storms, now created them instead. Powerful wind currents surrounded the Imperial formation. Their shields are adapting, Rodriguez reported, but their power consumption is increasing exponentially. They've never dealt with continuous environmental pressure. Execute Phase 2, Chen ordered. The Hyperion emerged from its position near the magnetic pole, using the planet's natural electromagnetic field to mask its approach. As it flew, New Eden's defense installations activated, creating a web of energy that interacted with the artificial storm. Imperial vessels are experiencing shield fluctuations, Hayes called out. The combination of atmospheric pressure and electromagnetic interference is overwhelming their synchronization protocols. Chen watched as the Imperial ships began to struggle against conditions they never trained for. Their perfect formation wavered as each vessel fought against wind patterns that seemed to target them specifically. Message from High Commander Ixel, Singh reported. They're demanding we cease these cowardly tactics and face them directly. Send no response, Chen instructed. Let them see how humanity fights when protecting our homes. The artificial storm intensified. Lightning arced between clouds, guided by New Eden's defense grid to strike at the weakest points in Imperial shields. The escort vessels began breaking formation, their crews unable to maintain position in conditions their training never covered. Multiple systems failing on their support ships, Rodriguez announced with carefully contained satisfaction. They're trying to compensate by linking their shield networks, but the atmospheric interference is making synchronization impossible. Now they understand why we developed independent systems, Foster observed. Space combat isn't just about having the biggest ships. Chen moved to the tactical display, studying the Imperial flagship's position. Despite their difficulties, High Commander Ixel's vessel remained dangerous. Its sheer size and power could still threaten New Eden's cities. Begin final approach, she ordered. Prepare all systems for close-range engagement. The Hyperion accelerated through the storm, its systems optimized for atmospheric combat through years of planetary defense drills. Unlike the Imperial ships, its shields were designed to operate independently, adapting to environmental conditions rather than trying to overpower them. Storm intensity reaching critical levels, Hayes warned. The weather control system wasn't designed to maintain this output. It doesn't need to last much longer, Chen assured her. Status of New Eden's ground forces. All units in position, Foster confirmed. Governor Richards says they're ready to show the Empire why attacking the human colony was a mistake. Through the artificial tempest, the Imperial flagship finally spotted the Hyperion's approach. Its massive weapon arrays began charging, preparing to end this battle with overwhelming force. They're exactly where we need them, Chen said quietly. She straightened her uniform, eyes fixed on the tactical display. All hands, prepare for extreme maneuvers. Let's show the Empire why humanity's experience fighting in every environment makes us more dangerous than they ever imagined. Above New Eden's capital, nature itself seemed to take sides as human ingenuity turned the very atmosphere into a weapon. The Empire was about to learn why underestimating humanity's adaptability was their greatest mistake. Lightning illuminated the Hyperion's hull as it dove through New Eden's turbulent atmosphere, the artificial storm concealing its approach until the last possible moment. The Imperial flagship hung above the capital city, its massive form struggling against conditions it was never designed to handle. Hull temperature optimal, Hayes reported from engineering. Atmospheric stabilizers compensating for wind shear. They're learning our pattern, but too slowly. Captain Chen watched as the Imperial escort vessels attempted to maintain formation through the storm. Their movements grew increasingly erratic as they fought against wind patterns specifically designed to disrupt their rigid protocols. New Eden's southern defense grid is powered and ready, Rodriguez announced. Ground batteries awaiting your signal. Position confirmed, Foster added. The flagship's ventral shields are weakening. They can't maintain full coverage in these conditions. Chen nodded, her expression focused. Begin the sequence, Show them why we spend so much time practicing atmospheric combat. The Hyperion banked sharply, using air currents in ways the Imperial ships couldn't comprehend. As it moved, ground-based energy batteries activated in synchronized patterns, creating a web of crossfire that forced the escort vessels to divide their attention. Their formation is breaking, Singh reported from communications. Intercepted transmissions show multiple systems failing. They've never experienced sustained atmospheric combat. Through the storm, the Imperial ship's shields flickered with increasing frequency. Their linked defense network, so effective in space, proved vulnerable to the constant environmental pressure. Each lightning strike forced their systems to adapt, consuming power at unsustainable rates. High Commander Ixel is redirecting power to their main weapons, Rodriguez warned. They're preparing to fire on the city. Execute defense pattern Delta, Chen ordered calmly. Governor Richards, you have permission to proceed. Across New Eden's capital, hidden defense installations emerged from civilian structures. The colony's buildings, designed with military-grade materials disguised as standard construction, began generating their own electromagnetic fields. Imperial targeting systems are confused, Hayes called out with satisfaction. The city's energy signature is masking their lock on critical infrastructure. The flagship's weapon ports glowed as they prepared to fire, but the targeting solutions kept shifting. Every building in the capital now emitted false signals, making it impossible to distinguish military installations from civilian structures. Multiple Imperial escorts attempting emergency ascent, Foster reported. Their engines are overheating from atmospheric friction. Chen allowed herself a slight smile. They're learning too late why humanity practices fighting in every environment. Launch countermeasures. The Hyperion released a swarm of drones, their small size allowing them to maneuver through the storm with ease. Originally designed for atmospheric sampling, they now carried concentrated electromagnetic pulses calibrated to the Imperial ship's shield frequencies. Direct hits confirmed, Rodriguez announced. 3 escort vessels have lost primary power. Their atmospheric thrusters are failing. Through the command channel, Governor Richards' voice was steady. Ground teams in position, Captain. The Empire's about to learn why humans believe the best defense includes a surprise offense. On Chen's command, New Eden's true defense grid revealed itself. Buildings that appeared to be standard colonial architecture transformed, revealing energy weapon arrays and point defense systems. The Empire had expected to find a vulnerable colony. Instead, they faced a fortress. Imperial flagship is attempting to gain altitude, Foster reported. They're trying to escape the atmosphere. Not yet, Chen replied. Hayes, activate the ionospheric disruptors. The storm intensified as New Eden's weather control system pushed its limits. The Empire's mighty flagship, designed to dominate space battles, found itself trapped in an environment where its size became a liability. Captain, Singh called out, High Commander Ixel is demanding to know how a colony possesses this level of technology. No response needed, Chen replied. Let them learn through experience why humanity never relies on a single tactical doctrine. The Hyperion climbed through the storm, its engines adapted to atmospheric combat through years of planetary defense exercises. Below, New Eden's defense forces continued their carefully coordinated attack, each strike precisely calculated to take advantage of the Imperial ship's weaknesses. Multiple Imperial vessels are signaling distress, Rodriguez reported. Their atmospheric containment systems are failing. Chen studied the tactical display, watching as the mighty Empire's fleet struggled against conditions they never expected to face. Prepare for final engagement, she ordered. It's time to show High Commander Ixel exactly why underestimating humanity's adaptability was their greatest mistake. Above the capital, the storm reached its peak intensity as 2 civilizations clashed in an environment only one had truly mastered. The Empire was about to learn that true power comes not from size or strength, but from the ability to adapt to any challenge. The Imperial flagship hung in New Eden's turbulent atmosphere, its massive form now scared by lightning strikes and energy impacts. Around it, the remnants of its escort fleet struggled to maintain position as the artificial storm continued its relentless assault. High Commander Ixil is hailing us again, Singh reported from communications. They're requesting direct communication. Captain Chen straightened her uniform, nodding to Singh. Put them through. The command screen activated, showing Ixil's face. The High Commander's shifting eyes had settled into a deep crimson. Captain Chen. They spoke, their translated voice tense with controlled anger. You have violated every principle of honorable combat. We fought to protect our people, Chen replied calmly, using every advantage at our disposal. Your tactics show no respect for proper military doctrine, Ixil declared. I challenge you to face us directly. Ship to ship. No more of these environmental manipulations. Foster leaned close to Chen's chair. They're desperate. Their systems weren't designed for prolonged atmospheric operations. I accept your challenge, High Commander, Chen responded. On one condition. We fight here, in New Eden's atmosphere. Since you claim superiority, surely you can defeat one human vessel under any conditions. Ixil's expression shifted, their crystalline features catching the lightning's glare. You would risk your colony in single combat. I trust my crew and our capabilities, Chen answered. The question is, do you trust yours? The tactical display showed the Imperial flagship's power readings fluctuating as it tried to maintain stability in the storm. Its escort vessels had already retreated to higher altitudes, their systems unable to handle the sustained atmospheric pressure. Very well, Ixil agreed finally. Single combat, by your terms, but when you lose, your colony will submit to Imperial authority without further resistance. And when we win, Chen countered, the Empire will acknowledge New Eden's independence and right to self-defense. The connection terminated abruptly. Around the flagship, the remaining Imperial vessels began ascending, leaving their commander to face the Hyperion alone. All hands, battle stations, Chen ordered. Haze, status of our atmospheric systems. Operating at peak efficiency, the chief engineer reported. Unlike them, we designed our ships knowing we'd have to fight in multiple environments. The Hyperion moved through the storm with practiced precision, its smaller size allowing maneuvers the Imperial flagship couldn't match. Years of planetary defense drills had taught them how to use air currents to their advantage. Their main weapons are charging, Rodriguez warned. Energy signature suggests they're planning to overwhelm us with pure power. Exactly what we expected, Chen noted. Begin evasion pattern echo. Let's show them why brute force isn't always the answer. The Hyperion banked sharply as the flagship's energy beams cut through the clouds. Each massive blast represented enough power to level a city, but they had to hit their target first. Their firing pattern is sequential, Foster observed. They haven't adjusted their targeting algorithms for atmospheric conditions. Chen watched the tactical display, noting how the flagship's movements became increasingly predictable as it tried to bring its main weapons to bear. Execute Attack Plan Delta. Target their port-side atmospheric compensators. A Hyperion dove beneath the flagship's guard, its own weapons precisely calibrated for atmospheric combat. Each shot struck where the Imperial vessel's shields were weakest, their energy dispersed by the very air around them. Direct hits confirmed, Rodriguez reported. Their stabilization systems are failing. Through the command channel, they could hear alarms blaring on the Imperial bridge as the flagship began to lose its fight against gravity. Its massive engines trained to maintain altitude, but Earth vessels had learned long ago that size meant little when fighting planetary conditions. Final targeting solution ready, Hayes announced. One shot to their main power distribution node will overload their entire system. Chen studied the tactical display one last time, watching the mighty Imperial flagship struggle against an environment it was never designed to master. High Commander Ixil needs to understand why humanity's chaotic development made us stronger, not weaker. The Hyperion climbed through the storm, positioning itself above the flagship. Below them, New Eden's defense grid stood ready, a reminder of why humans always prepared for every possible scenario. "All weapons, fire on my mark," Chen ordered. "Let's show the Empire why adaptability will always triumph over rigid doctrine." Against the storm-dark sky, two ships faced each other in single combat. One massive and powerful, the other smaller but infinitely more adaptable. The Empire was about to learn its final lesson about underestimating humanity. The Hyperion hovered above New Eden's capital, its hull still cooling from atmospheric combat. Below, the Imperial flagship rested on the planet's surface, its massive form grounded by precise strikes that had disabled its main engines without destroying the vessel. "Damage report from all sections," Captain Chen requested, studying the tactical display where the remaining Imperial fleet maintained a respectful distance in high orbit. "Minor systems damage only," Hayes reported from engineering. "Our atmospheric combat training paid off. All critical functions operating normally." "Message from High Commander Ixel," Singh announced. "They're requesting permission to evacuate their damaged vessel." Chen straightened in her command chair, exchanging glances with Foster. "Grant them clearance, but remind them that New Eden's defense grid remains active." Through the viewports, they could see Imperial rescue shuttles descending cautiously through the dissipating storm. The weather control satellites had been deactivated, allowing New Eden's natural atmosphere to return to normal. "Governor Richards is reporting from the surface," Singh added. "No civilian casualties. The colony's infrastructure remained intact throughout the engagement." "Because they never expected a colony to have this level of defense capability," Foster observed. "Their own arrogance became their weakness." The tactical display showed the Imperial rescue operation proceeding with typical precision, even in defeat. High Commander Ixel had learned an expensive lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. "Captain," Rodriguez called from his station, "long-range sensors are detecting additional hyperspace signatures. 3 Imperial diplomatic vessels requesting approach vectors." Chen nodded, unsurprised. The Empire's response to defeat would be as structured as their approach to combat. "Grant them clearance to high orbit only, and maintain our defense readiness." "The Empire's diplomatic corps is known for their efficiency," Foster noted. "They'll want to contain this situation quickly before other species learn of their defeat." "They'll learn regardless," Chen replied. "The galaxy needs to understand that humanity's different approach to development isn't a weakness to be corrected." The diplomatic vessels arrived with characteristic Imperial precision, taking up positions that carefully avoided appearing threatening. Their designs emphasized status rather than combat capability. "Incoming transmission from the lead diplomatic ship," Singh reported. "They're requesting a formal conference to discuss, in their words, a mutual understanding between civilizations." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Tell them we'll meet in New Eden's Colonial Administration building. Let them see exactly what they were trying to subjugate." Hours later, Chen stood in the colony's main conference room, watching Imperial diplomats examine the architectural features that had so effectively concealed New Eden's defense capabilities. Their expressions revealed a new appreciation for human ingenuity. "The Empire acknowledges New Eden's right to self-governance," the lead diplomat announced, their color-shifting eyes now a peaceful blue. "We also extend an invitation for technological and cultural exchange, should humanity desire it." "A remarkable shift from demanding our submission," Chen observed. The diplomat's expression showed a complexity of emotion their translation software couldn't quite convey. "The Empire has existed for millennia by absorbing and guiding developing civilizations. Today, we learned there might be alternative approaches worth considering." Through the conference room's windows, they could see crews working to repair the minimal damage from the battle. Imperial engineers watched with poorly concealed fascination as New Eden's buildings reverted to their civilian configurations. "Perhaps," Chen suggested, "true strength comes not from enforcing a single doctrine, but from embracing different paths of development." "A perspective we are beginning to appreciate," the diplomat agreed. "The Empire's reports on humanity's chaotic development failed to consider that chaos often breeds innovation. As the diplomatic proceedings continued, Chen received updates from the Hyperion. The Imperial fleet had withdrawn to the system's edge, maintaining a presence that was now more observational than threatening. "Captain," Foster spoke quietly at her side, "Earth Command is requesting your after-action report. They're particularly interested in how one vessel defended an entire colony." "Tell them the truth," Chen replied. "We succeeded because humanity never stopped preparing for the unexpected. Our chaotic development taught us to adapt, to innovate, and to never assume we know all the answers." Above New Eden, the Hyperion maintained its vigilant watch as the sun set on a day that had changed the balance of power in this sector of space. The Empire had arrived expecting to find a primitive colony in need of guidance. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's unique path of development had created something they never expected: equals. The galaxy would never be quite the same again.